It's 5:30 and I welcome everyone to the August 16th, 2021 Saugeen Shores Committee of Adjustment, and I call this meeting to order. Our second item on the agenda is the acknowledgement of any pecuniary interest. You can either bring up your pecuniary interest conflict now or at the time it appears on the agenda. There's no declarations. We'll move on to the adoption of the minutes. And may I have a motion to adopt the minutes of our previous meeting, Monday, July the 19th. It'll be moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson and seconded by Mr. Legault. Any discussions, errors, or omissions to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Next on the agenda is a public meeting for file number minor variance application A-2021-0037 for Catherine Ann Scharf with the municipal address in the former town of Saugeen, or town of Southampton, 73 Morpeth Street.
Mr. Chair, that's Scarf.
Scarf, oh, I'm sorry. Scarf, thank you. And this is a public meeting under the Planning Act, and the meeting on this file is now open. First, we will receive a report from the planning staff. Then committee members will have an opportunity to ask questions, and I will ask them to reserve their comments on the application until we have heard from the public. Then we will hear from any members of the public. Members of the public are advised that the ability to appeal the decision on this application may be limited if you have not provided comments on the application before the decision is made. After we have heard from the public, the committee will discuss and consider a recommendation on this application. I will now ask the planner on the file to present the application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to share my screen here. There we go. We'll just confirm that everybody can see that okay. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pearson has submitted a minor variance application on behalf of Ann Scarf for their property located at 73 Morpeth Street in Saugeen Shores. The subject land is located on the south side of Morpeth Street between Knowles Lane and Hearson Street South. The 641 square meter parcel has approximately 21 meters of frontage on Morpeth Street and is currently a vacant lot. The minor variance application requests to increase the permitted lot area coverage to the residential first density exception 1 R1-1 zone to facilitate the development of an accessible and barrier-free dwelling. So the following photo shows the vacant lot looking south from Morpeth Street. The surrounding area includes a mix of single detached low-rise residential dwellings. As mentioned, the surrounding land uses are residential. Servicing to the area is provided by municipal water and sanitary sewer systems. Access to the subject property is provided via Morpeth Street, which is a year-round municipal maintained road. So the application proposes to increase the permitted lot area coverage in the residential first density special exception 1 zone to 50%, whereas the current maximum lot coverage permitted is 40%. The requested increase in permitted lot coverage will facilitate the development of a 1.5-story barrier-free accessible dwelling to accommodate the applicant's mobility. The subject lands are designated primary urban communities in the Bruce County official plan and residential in the Town of Saugeen Shores official plan. The zoning is residential first density with special exception 1, which restricts the building height to a maximum of 8 meters as opposed to 10 meters, which is typically permitted in R1 zones. The lands were identified as being within a potential archaeological area. A stage 1 and stage 2 assessment were completed by licensed archaeologists. Some minor artifacts were found. However, the archaeological study determined that no further assessment of the property was required beyond a stage 2 assessment. The application was circulated to departments and agencies for their comments. The town identified that grading and drainage issues may need special review at the building permit stage. Additionally, no accessory structures would be permitted on the property. No further comments were received, and no objections or oppositions were provided. No public comments were received following issuance of the public notice. And I will now speak to the 4 tests of the minor variance. So the first test is, does the variance maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan? So as I mentioned, the property is designated residential in the town's official plan and is within Special Policy Area 2. The objectives of the residential designation are to provide a variety of housing forms and a mix of densities to ensure that development maintains the character and establishment of residential areas. The SPA2 policy, so the Special Policy Area, applies to the property. This designation intends to acknowledge the character of the area and regulate the maximum height provisions to ensure compatibility with the built form of the existing community. The proposed 1.5-story residential development meets the objectives of the residential designation and provides a residential dwelling that maintains the character of the established residential area in accordance with that Special Policy Area 2 designation. Therefore, the application maintains the intent and purpose of the official plan. The second test, does the variance maintain the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? So the property is zoned residential first density 1 with a special exception. Permitted uses in the residential first density zone include a single detached dwelling, which is what is proposed. The special provision, as I mentioned, identifies that the maximum building height for the land is 8 meters. The proposed increase in lot area coverage will largely impact the amount of open space available for the property. The proposed residential development is being designed to create a more accessible and barrier-free dwelling for the current landowners. The lot area coverage is required to accommodate the proposed development design that includes accessible and barrier-free elements, including an elevator. Unenclosed covered porch areas are not typically included in the lot coverage area calculation. So to the site plan here, you can see that there's covered porches proposed for the front and rear area. These coverages have been included in the lot area calculation in order to provide some flexibility for the landowner to enclose the porch in the rear yard specifically, should they wish to do that. So the proposed development maintains the required front yard, rear yard, and side yard setbacks and is not proposed to exceed the maximum building height of 8 meters as required in the Special Provision 1 zone. The proposed residential dwelling is a permitted use in the R1 zone as mentioned, and adequate open yard space is provided in the front, rear, and side yards. 2 parking spaces are provided on the subject land and include 1 interior garage space and 1 outdoor unenclosed space. Notwithstanding the relief being sought, the variance does maintain the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The third test is, is the variance requested desirable for the appropriate and orderly development and use of the land and buildings? So the proposed 1.5-story development is compatible with other existing 1- and 2-story residential buildings in the adjacent and surrounding neighborhood. The proposed lot area coverage will permit the development of a single detached dwelling, which is a permitted use in the residential first density zone. The development achieves all other zoning provisions in the R1 zone, including front yard, rear yard, lot area, and side yards. Therefore, the proposed development is appropriate for the land and is compatible with the residential nature of the property and the surrounding neighborhood. The fourth test, is the variance minor in nature? The increased lot area coverage is considered minor as the dwelling is designed to be accessible and barrier-free and achieves all other required zoning provisions for the R1 zone. An increase in lot area coverage will facilitate the development of a currently vacant lot and contribute to the neighborhood character of the area. Therefore, the variance is considered minor in nature based on the proposed development of the land and findings of the archaeological assessments. And the proposed application would therefore meet all 4 tests required for a minor variance. So to recap, the minor variance is requested to permit an increase in maximum lot area coverage to 50%, whereas the maximum lot area coverage in the R1 zone is typically 40%. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, upholds the objective of the Saugeen Shores official plan, and ultimately represents good land use planning. And the application satisfies all 4 tests for a minor variance. Staff recommend approval subject to the conditions on the decision sheet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Thank you for your report. Are there any questions for the planner from the members of the committee? Deputy Mayor Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Liam, I don't know whether you can answer this or John or Ted Nan. Probably John. John, is this a double driveway they have?
Yeah, it will be.
Okay, my one concern is this is the only section in town where we've taken away the boulevard in front of the houses and put parking in. If they're going to have a double driveway, should we not be providing a double entrance into their under their property. There's only space for one entrance if you look at that right now.
Mhm.
Okay.
There's enough room to swing in. The actual depth of from the actual property line to the face of the house is plenty of room to curve in. Like, so the driveway is allowed to be 20 feet wide as far as I'm concerned, right?
Yes, but it's 20 feet wide, but the spot on the boulevard is only a one parking spot. I'm asking, should that not be enlarged to be the footprint of the driveway?
That would be great.
Jay, is that possible?
Well, Amanda and I, thank you, did talk about this, and we were satisfied with the zoning bylaw provisions to be maintained. So whether or not they had a width of only one vehicle, or they could build up to the 7.5 meter width, that was fine. We were okay if we would adjust the on-street parking to make sure that parking was satisfied. So that's why we didn't make that comment with this application.
Okay, so then we can change the parking that's there so that if the Scarfs wish, the space that's for their driveway extends to the road instead of having, to be scrunched into one parking spot. That's their in and out.
Well, I guess we were willing to trade off. We thought there could be an adjustment, but we also were willing to be comfortable if it had to go, it had to go, because the zoning allowed them to have that 7.5 meter width.
Okay, I'm sure the Scarfs will be talking to you about that.
Okay, I'll make a note.
Any other questions for the planner? If not, we'll now hear from the members of the public. Does the applicant, Mr. Pearson, wish to address?
Yeah, it was just to address the porch. We're looking at the open coverage of the coverage of the open porch was a large percentage of our additional coverage that we needed, but it also is going to be a single plane, no second floor porch on it. So the aggressiveness of it will be tempered by just one story. It rises to 1.5 stories behind that. So I just wanted to say, the porch culture of, Southampton and everything, it's a real addition to the street, I feel. And to get the closeness and to the edge of the street, then it's a more social thing. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Scarf, do you wish to address?
No, we don't have to.
Okay. All right.
We do like the extra width in the driveway if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public here to speak in support of the application? Is there anyone from the public here with questions or concerns or objections to the application? If not, I don't believe there's any further written submissions. Do any committee members have final questions before we close the public meeting and discuss the application? If not, I now declare the public meeting to be closed. Are there any questions from the committee on this application? None? May I have a motion to support the application subject to the conditions under the decision sheet? It's moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson, seconded by Mr. Legault. Any questions? Ms. Kuntz? Did you have a question? No. Okay, you're fine. So moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson, seconded by Mr. Legault. Any discussion on this application? If not, all in favor? Opposed? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, everybody.
Excellent. Thank you for your time.
Anytime, Mr. Pearson. Our next meeting date.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Subject to the to be confirmed is Monday, September the 20th, 2021. I think we may have to move that meeting because that's the election day. I spoke with Mr. Posner about that today, so I don't know if I'm available on the 21st, but it's up to everyone.
It would be
else.
nice, Mr. Chair, it'd be nice just to get a sense. I think with committee of adjustment, there's a bit more flexibility given the types of applications are being considered, but I let the committee know, you don't have to decide tonight, of course,
No.
but the sooner we know, the sooner we can adjust the reporting for people like Liam and Dan and Barbara so that they can provide notice in a timely way.
Wonderful. May I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Deputy Mayor Matheson?
I think we should actually postpone the September meeting because of the election. It could be hard for some people, staff to get to, whether they do online, however the voting is going to go, but to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to get to the voting station in a timely manner to get their voting in. If we need to, I'll make that motion to postpone, or Jay can let us know, but that's my thoughts. I'd sooner postpone the meeting for that night.
Yeah, no motion necessary, more for information. So we have
Thank you.
the next day, being it's after the election. I suppose it's possibly go a week earlier. I'm not picky, but it could be, it's up to the committee. You guys are in charge, so.
Well,
I'll just
I
let me know.
would support the following day, the 21st.
Following day works for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that works for me too.
Okay,
It works for me too.
good.
It will work for me as well, for Matt.
Okay, good. Fine. Well, that's good.
I can't say for sure yet. For me, I have to reschedule something, so
Okay.
I won't know yet.
Okay, all right. We don't have to make the decision tonight, but we know that most are available. May I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Legault, seconded by Ms. Kunz. All in favor?